Hi there, David here, and in this video, I'll be designing some sci-fi sounds and textures. So in some previous videos that I've done, for example, a lot of my sci-fi weapon sounds, redesigns that I've done and shown, some people have mentioned that it's really great that I show my project and how I layer everything together and process my sounds and everything, but it'd be nice to see how I design some of the sound effects that I drag and drop into like my project. How do I design those from scratch? So I'm going to show some of that in this video, or I should say some of those sounds in this video. So I'm going to be showing how I create some of the sci-fi sounds and textures that I use for weapon sounds and things like that. So if you want to see that, stick around. If you're new here, I have a gift for you. It is my Sound Designer Starter Pack. So if you're a sound designer, I put a whole bunch of sound effects in a pack, over 900 sounds that you can use for your commercial or personal project, and I'll have the links in the description below. All right, with that said, let's get into our project and start designing. All right, so here we are inside of Reaper, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start up by loading Faceplant. So I like to use Faceplant or as my preferred synth to go to for these sci-fi sounds or textures. And what I like to start with is just some sort of wavetable. I like to start really plain and simple. And then what I like to do is kind of modulate it or think about how I can modulate certain parameters and randomize them so that you can get some interesting textures out of them. So I'm just going to start with that right away. I'm just going to pull up a random modulator down here. I'm going to smooth it out like this, make it a little bit faster. All right, and the first thing we can do is just start simple here. I'm just going to modulate the frame of the wavetable here. So just going to make sure this is positive. All right, nothing crazy, nothing too exciting. So that's one thing that we can modulate here. Another one is I like the curve, this curve modulator here. And what you can find in here, you can find some really cool stuff, especially inside of the complex in here, inside of the presets. So I'm just going to grab, let's try this one. I don't know if I've tried this one before. Yeah, so let's try this one. And then what's cool is that you can put some loop points in here. So I'm just going to drag these out so they're a bit wider. Okay, and then I'm just going to assign this to the pitch. So pitch usually is a pretty good one if you want to get some like wacky textures and a lot of frequencies to go. Right, so you can get a lot of these frequency sweeps, which is great. And what I'm going to do to make it even more crazy or a bit more frantic, I'm just going to add another random LFO. And this I'm going to assign to like the speed here. So I want the speed to be like... So that sounds kind of cool. Maybe I'll bring this down a little. So I'm going to try to pick where I want the like slowest tempo to be. So that's pretty good. There you go. So now it's kind of like jumping between like being fast and slow. And plus you get all these bounces in there. So this is going to be really good for like sampling and to get a lot of these like cool textures later when I print this out. So that's a good start here. Especially for weapon sounds, it's great to have a full like frequency spectrum to play with. So that's great. So I'm just going to put these inside of a group because then what we can do later is then like duplicate this group if we need to. So that's going to be group. Maybe I'll label it as group 1. Okay, so this is like a really simple patch with a simple wavetable. What I like to normally do is go inside of the growls. There's a lot of cool ones that I like in All right, so to me, like this sounds really cool. I like how it's always changing. It's always kind of random. You get the change of speed and stuff. So what I could do now is I can either export this out as is, just like that, and then re-import it back into Faceplant as a sampler and then kind of sample it and stuff like that. Or what I also like to do sometimes is just like start adding effects and see what else I can do with it. All right, so this sounds pretty cool. I'm just gonna try something, see if I can add some sort of like FM synthesis here, see if it sounds cool. So maybe I can add a bit of like randomization on the FM here. So I'm gonna bring the volume down, and maybe I'll just like duplicate this group here. So this is gonna be for the FM. Okay, so now what I can do is apply, maybe I can find like another wavetable here that's interesting. Yeah, sure. Let's try this one. And let's apply this now to the volume here. All right, so now with that, I have some pretty cool texture. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start printing this off. So I'm just going to record here, and then I can just play on my keyboard and get some sound. Right, so this is just me holding one note. So obviously, if I wanted to, I can play like multiple notes or do different things. Right, you get this weird sounds, but you get a lot of like different frequencies going up and down and stuff. So you have a lot of cool options here. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to remove some of the silences, and now I'm just going to load in another patch of faceplant, and I'm just going to drag and drop this sound in there. Okay, so let's do this. So now when I have that. Right now I can kind of play across my keyboard. I can either sample stuff or I can further design it from here. All right, so this is how I can like quickly design and generate sounds. Now, of course, once you're in here and you're like right now I'm using wavetables and stuff like that, but you don't have to necessarily use this. What you can also do is do the same kind of technique, but apply it to instead of like randomizing, for example, the pitch here, which is what I'm doing. So I'm going to turn off this thing because I'm randomizing the pitch. Why don't we try something else like let's do a filter. Why don't we do some sort of filter here? So I'm just going to duplicate this group here, and this is going to be my filter group. Yeah, so this now I'm going to apply to cut off. All right, so you can get some cool sounds like that. You could also like add other stuff like this. Let's put this on And there you go. I just completely created a completely different patch, like a new patch, but using the same concept here. So this is how you can create some cool sounds. And just to show you how I did that, this is from a redesign I did from a video for the Overwatch particle cannon. So this is it here. And one of the patches that I used for the main like laser layer was this one right here. Right, and that sound is exactly, I created that using this exact same patch, or at least the exact same idea. So I have this patch here. So that's the sound, and you can already hear, like, this is the sample that I exported and put it into here. But the way that I created that, I'll just show you in here, was using this patch right here. So as you can see here, it's a very simple patch and very similar to what I've showed before, where you have this curve applied to the pitch here, and then this random modulator is randomizing the frame. And then I have this other random LFO modulating the speed of the curve. So you get like this really quick sweep through the frequencies. Right, so I just did that, exported it out, and then I brought it back into my patchy here. Played lower on my keyboard to get this like really deep sound, and it's a bit slowed down. But then you still get all this textures and all this frequency and richness in the sound, right? And then after that, it was just a matter of like bringing out everything. So I just used uber loud here to push everything out. Trash to add some distortion, EQ, and then disperser to add some bass and stuff, and then subsynth and a limiter. So right, so it's just a bit of like just doing some design, experimenting with different frequencies maybe that I want to bring out, or how I want it to sound. So all right, so that is one of the approaches that I take whenever I'm designing these kind of sci-fi sounds and textures, and it's just to randomize certain parameters and kind of experiment and see what I can come up with, and then basically printing out the audio file, bringing it back into a sampler, and then either sampling it or just using the sample file as is and just playing it across my keyboard at different play rates so that you can get different sounds. So anyways, I hope you found that useful and valuable and kind of seeing that process and seeing how I design the specific sound for the particle cannon inside of Overwatch 2. And if you want to see that whole video, I'll put it up in the cards above, or maybe even in the description below, so you can have a look at the full video so you can see everything in context for that one. So I think that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave it down below. And just a reminder to grab that sound pack, my Sound Designer's starter pack. Also, link will be in the description below. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.